And good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the Fierce and Fabulous Society Talk Show. And we are here every single Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock, bringing you some of the most incredible, inspirational, experienced, emotional, vibrant women in business that I can possibly get my hands on to bring them into this room. And tonight is going to be no exception, but I'm not going to tell you any more about who we've got on quite yet. As you know, I am Mary Ann Smith. I'm a personal transformation and business coach. I've been a coach for over 30 years. I don't know how that happened. And I'm also the founder of the Fierce and Fabulous Society. And that is a place where women can gather in a community to be able to step up, step into their most vibrant, magnificent selves, to also learn how to build profitable, sustainable businesses that support the lives that they love. And tonight I have got an even more exciting announcement to make before we bring on our guest for this evening. And that is tomorrow, I will be launching the Fierce and Fabulous Society Women in Business Growth Summit. The summit is going to take place on between the 3rd and the 5th of November. It's going to be coming to you at 8 o'clock on each of those evenings, and we will be sharing space with 9 of, and I mean the most incredible women in business. These women have fought through all adversity. They have faced every challenge that, as business people, regardless, men or women, we face: the not believing in yourselves, the balancing stuff with the children, the procrastination, you name it, they've done it. They've got t-shirts, or as I would say, they've got bikinis on it. And they have still been able to reach high 6 and 7 figure business status, to be able to come on and share their success stories, their stories of challenge, share with you the strategies that have helped them overcome and keep moving forward. Because from the outside, you might go, oh, wow, they're amazing. They're different from me. I'm telling you, they are no different from you whatsoever. But they have learned things along the way that have helped them to keep moving forward. And they're going to be coming to join me on the summit from the 3rd to the 5th of November to be sharing just their views on life, and also giving us lots of nuggets about how they have been able to move forward and what they see is going to be in the future as we come out post-pandemic with our businesses in 2022, and sharing with us all the things they think we should be thinking about. So you'll be seeing lots more coming out on social media about the summit, so do look out for it. And it's an absolute joy, after weeks of work, being able to actually announce it here. So do look out for slides like this popping up on your screen. And I'm not even going to show you who is actually going to be there, because I'm going to keep that in suspense for another day. But we will have some amazing speakers with us. But in the meantime, we have got an incredible woman this morning. This morning? It's been one of those days. This evening. And this woman is a life coach. She's also the author of a best-selling book called Life Lessons from Your Knicker Drawer. She is, I'm really proud to say, my colleague, and even more proud to say, my friend. And her name is Kerry Hales. Good evening, Kerry. Was that a good enough introduction?
Your friend, as your friend.
You are. And everyone, she is my pink lady. She is one woman with beautiful pink hair and the most beautiful rosy pink cheeks. Would you not just die for that bone structure? I'm just saying.
I know. I work out every day with them. It is the weirdest thing, it's just say, people kind of, you should say thank you, and you just go, but I didn't do anything to get them. Like, Like I didn't do anything. They're just here. They're part of me.
But isn't it amazing? Because I know that you and I, before we get into any more, but you and I are both on the same age train.
Yes,
So we are both women in the fabulous 50 carriage of
we
life.
are. I
Oh,
kind of know.
amazing. And it is really cool actually to
Yeah.
be actually nowhere in too bad. Do you know, we're not doing too shabby on the scale of
Not
things.
too shabby.
Not too
No,
shabby.
no,
Oh
I
my
don't think we
goodness.
are.
And yes, and this is another one of my friends who also calls me porridge.
Porridge.
Porridge
You don't
takes
understand. Well,
great pride
it's
in
Jules that did that though, and I
it
just
is.
jumped on the Jules train. To be fair, credit where it's due and all that. If
But I always have to laugh. It's
you
like you have no accent,
I've
of
got no
course, do you?
accent.
No, no,
No,
no, no.
especially when we met in London and you guys and there's Jules who's like a female Peter Kay, who's just hilarious. And then there's you, and I'm standing between you going, well, I don't understand. You both got accents, and they look at me and they go, well, oh, and you haven't. And I said, we're in London. I don't have an accent here.
But tonight you're international, Kerry Hales.
Tonight, I am an international woman. Like we were
You
saying just
are.
before, my son's been picked up by somebody else from football, and he says, "How long is your interview going to be, Mum?" It was like it was kind of like this little moment where my ego went, "Yeah, I'm being interviewed, and you've got to find your way on way home."
It
Not that
is
he was on
funny
his
though,
own, but
isn't it? It's how they perceive it all. But actually,
yes.
thank goodness it wasn't yesterday.
Oh
Because
no, yes,
yesterday
that
this
wouldn't
wouldn't
have
have
been.
happened as the whole of Facebook, Instagram and
Yeah,
WhatsApp all crashed for
this
us.
is true.
But actually, what did you do, Kerry, when you couldn't be sitting scrolling through Facebook? What
Well,
were
I
you
was doing
doing?
different things. I was with my children sort of later on, but to be honest, I thought it was me.
Did you? You didn't even notice.
I posted it on I think on Kim's to say, like it was only this morning because I just thought, oh, there's something going on. And then I kept refreshing, like, gone 4G. No, that's still
It
not right.
must be
And
you.
because I've had different issues with my internet thing with Instagram. I just thought, oh, sod it all.
Yeah.
And then
But
I
do you
just,
know, I
we
was
just
really
watched
glad of
TV
just
and
the space. It made me. I went to my bed early, but not before
yeah,
I
I did.
managed to just
We did.
because there was nothing to look at. I actually sat and had a night on the sofa watching like something good on the telly, a movie with my
Things,
husband, and
things
went to
like
my
we
bed
used to.
early. Do you
Things
know
like we used to do.
things like we used to do? And in
Yeah.
between that, I read a wee bit of a book and it had some music
Yeah.
on. I didn't miss it at all. I did
No,
not miss it at all. So it was a welcome reminder that
it
there
is.
is life beyond it all. But saying that, we don't want anything to go wrong tonight. I'm just saying it
No,
is
we do
an
not.
amazing tool to have because we get to come live and allow people to come and join us as we sit and talk nonsense probably for the next half hour. And we do have
I'm not going to talk
people,
nonsense. I never talk nonsense.
never.
That's never going to
We
happen.
do have people that have joined us this evening. So, folks, because of GDPR, if you are wanting to have your name and we can see your name, so it's much easier to be able to speak to you, there's a link in the chat that you'll be able to actually click on that gives Restream, which is a tool we're using to come live to you tonight, permission to show your name to us. So you will
Yes.
not be strangers because, as you can see here, we have if when you don't do that, it just says you're a Facebook user. So
Oh,
whoever this Facebook user is, woohoo, Kerry, you are apparently
amazing.
amazing, amazing, which
Yes,
is
who are
amazing.
you?
Right, let's stop this chit chat here. My
No,
goodness, can
ask
you
me a
imagine a
question.
night
I'm
out?
ready. I feel like I'm a mastermind.
Oh, you're a mastermind. Well, I'm going to start off with your specialist subject,
Okay.
here, Kerry Hales,
All right then.
and that
What's that then?
subject is all about you. Tell us, I've introduced you as a life coach and author of a best selling book, but tell us a little more about what you do and who you work with.
What I do. I think the easiest way to describe what I do is that I hold a space of truth for people because
Mhm.
we get so lost in just the busyness of life, the layers of stories, of illusions, of things that we think that we should be or could be or were. or we can project ourselves into the future when we're wherever we're going to be. And my gift is to ask powerful questions, questions that cut through all of that. They really do. They're uncomfortable questions, and I really like it. I do think maybe I'm just enchanted to my sadistic side. But
And who is it when you're saying working with people? What kind of people do you work with?
I work with both women and men. All of
Yeah,
my groups and classes are for women, but I
yeah,
have quite a few, and I have coached quite a few men.
yeah.
And they're highly motivated, spirited people, rebels. I do love a rebel,
Ooh.
funnily enough, pink hair. I do, because I think those rebels are the black sheeps. You know, the
Yeah,
black sheeps that think that they have to then fit in, and I just want you to fit out and
fit out.
enjoy who you are
Yeah,
rather than that. Yeah. So it's those people. It's the ones that know, they know that they've got ideas. They know that they're different, and yet so it's just to legitimize that and to run with that. It's just like, you're here for something different. You're not here to fit in.
yeah.
And
Now, I know that you've been coaching for over 20 years.
mhm.
and um, and I know what that feels like when you start
Yeah,
to knock up the decades in the old coaching ring.
yeah.
But I also know from my own experience that over the last 30 years, I have accrued a lot of hats and I've had a lot of identities, and all of them have come together to help me, to be who I am in this moment.
Mm.
So, what was in your past? What kind of identities and hats have you worn in the past that have brought you to being in this space, working with these types of people, and being committed to that?
Well, before I was a coach, before I became a full-time coach, I
Yeah,
was I worked in the NHS, and it was problems, always problem solution, always people, always from the get-go, from a very young age. It's just like, I would be the one that has the solution. I'd
yeah,
be the one that would find a solution. And I say to myself, there's always a solution. So I was a project and change manager in the NHS. So
yeah,
I would be the person that would come in and get everybody on board, including like consultants, and I love the complexity of the NHS. So I love the complexity of people's minds and their brains, and be able to sort of work a way through the web of intrigue, which most people get stuck in, to push
yeah,
through that and go, okay, let's really ask that uncomfortable question. So those were the things that I did. So if, when I started off mainly in the NHS,
yeah,
doing all those different things and working through different parts of the industry, because it's so diverse. As you know, we say the NHS,
absolutely.
but in acute hospitals, I loved seeing the results. You
Yeah,
know, that for me is, I love a puzzle. I love
okay.
tangible results, which is funny considering now I work with people. Now I have to work. Those tangible results are just the feeling that you get of how, when people start to create things that they want. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that I know I share. I have a
Mm.
big background working in public sector across education, NHS, social work, you name it. And my experience of that has been certainly for me working in an organisation that keeps you safe, actually. It's a place
Very
of real
safe in the NHS.
safety.
Yeah.
Because you are literally, it's, well, they used to say job for life, and it still very much is in relation to
Yeah.
private sector, has a
Yeah.
lot more security. And from my experience, I stayed there for the wrong reasons, usually because of the safety and the security,
Mhm.
for way longer than I really should have, because I didn't find the courage to be able to step out.
Yeah.
Now, when people come to me, because I'm watching from my past, from that place, they can come to me feeling really super stuck where they
Mm.
are, but
Mm.
truly have been there so long, stepping out like you
Mhm.
and I have done.
Mhm.
It's not something that they are going to find themselves able to do. So, what
Mm.
was it for you that allowed you to make that transition out
I
from
I
all
I
those
t
years?
I'm like, I know what it was for me, and I know what I've. I mean, you'll know this too, but it's when you can't do it anymore.
No.
really, like sort of the first conversation I had with somebody, I mean, 'cause I studied psychology, so I was always curious about people, and then puzzles. And then Mick, my mentor, asked me, "What do you want?" It was like a weird sort of a set. It wasn't weird. It is weird, I suppose. It was weird to me, very weird at the time. It was just an evening introduction to what he was doing a weekend, and he asked, "What do you want?" And I just kept thinking, what a stupid inane question is that? Like, what are you talking about? Like,
It's a
what do you
big
want?
question,
Like,
isn't it?
oh, it's a massive question, but it was a
Mhm.
question that it's only a massive question when you allow it to be. Like,
Yeah.
but when you're so kind of like, this is how life is, and that's where I was. But I knew where my life was going. My career was set. I was doing really well. My parents were happy. She was working hard. She's been doing really
Yeah.
well. She's got a degree. She's done all these things, and it was great. You know what I mean? Like, all that was good. But I knew something inside me was going, is this it? Like, is this it? Like, is this what life is this what I'm here for? And a little bit of
But the thing is
myself was
there's
in
so
there,
many people will actually come to retirement still feeling
still
like that and
feeling like
having
that, and that's criminal
so
for me.
it's what
Yeah,
was the thing that makes you different? Because I know that being stuck is one of the biggest challenges that people face because as human
yeah,
beings, we will always choose
yeah,
certainty over uncertainty,
yeah,
even if it's making us miserable.
yeah. So
Even if it's
when
making us
people come to
miserable.
me, like, when I know what I did is that I know that my process of change it's like I'm either all in or all out, right?
Right.
So when you're not really knowing what you do, like I will say to them, I'm going to shove your head right down in the shit. So the shit goes right up your nostrils so you can feel it where it really is. It's like holding yourself down. And they're like, are you ready yet? It's like, no, I can still breathe. It's like, okay, more. Give her more shit. And I think that's what I did. Like, I was,
Yeah.
because every time I'd go back into the NHS, they'd give me more money. Yes, you can do 4 days. Yes, you can work from 8 till 4. I was like, okay, I'm creating. So slowly I was creating this life that I love. I moved to the beach and I kept going back to the NHS. So I was creating. There was some change, but there
Yeah.
wasn't. There was still something that was just like I was still working to somebody else's parameters. I was still
Yeah.
working to, well, you've got to come in, you've only got 6 weeks. I mean, like, you get great holidays and everything else, but there were still limits to everything.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be the loud person. I was allowed to do lots of things, but not, I mean, like, I
Okay.
wasn't a suited, booted person. But I think it was very much of, and then I changed jobs and I kind of almost like took out the passion that I have for that job. So it was an easier step. It was like, well, it's shit anyway. What are you holding on to it for?
Yeah.
So there was two things. You know what I mean? I really kind of just made it an easier step for myself to get out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then I was offered redundancy, and I mean, like, it was a $5,000 package. It was not anything, but I just thought it just gives me a little bit of a buffer, a
Yeah.
little bit of enough to be able to go, right, I'm going to
Yeah.
run with it.
And those financial challenges are huge for people,
Yeah,
absolutely huge,
yeah,
especially when you've been in an environment that you haven't really learned yet how to invest in self and
yeah.
to have to trust yourself in a way that any investment is going to be successful.
Yes, especially
Really
personal development.
difficult.
I had because there's no guarantees. You're the only guarantee that you get is is by the person that you're investing in to help you, right?
Yeah.
So and if you can't, you have to be able to trust yourself that you're going to trust that investment. That
Yeah.
I'm gonna. So because I remember when Mick did that weekend, and it was 675 quid. We're talking 20 years ago. So it was a
Yeah.
lot of money to spend a
Yeah.
weekend. And literally, we just sat in a plain room, all on
Yeah.
chairs for the weekend. I mean, wasn't no
Yeah.
retreat or anything. It wasn't anything fancy. It
Yeah.
was like my first experience of that. And but I knew that if I'm handing over, nearly 700 quid, I was, for me, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Like, I like a sponge, like, give it me all. I want it all. Like, I don't want to sort of sit there and find a reason of why this isn't going to work for me. I was just like, well, whatever it is, because I know that there's something else. I'm
Yeah.
curious. I'm curious about everything, being a coach
I
is
think
like
one of the
carte
things
blanche to be nosy.
the thing is, you picked up on that whole thing about wanting to be certain about things, and the reality is that there is nothing. I always say the only thing that is certain about this life is that we won't get out alive.
Yeah.
And that is it. And
Yeah.
it was like, even this weekend, I'd had terrible toothache. I know I've been moaning to you about it, but it's all better now. It's all fixed now, thank you. But I got up on Sunday morning, pain had been a wee bit better. I was dead organised. I felt really in control of things. I was planning everything, got in the car, and we were in a car accident. And there was I was completely in control, and actually, see, reflecting after it, I thought, my goodness, I can remember the impact in the car, and feeling myself going forward in my brain, trying to work out what is going on. But it was out of my control. And the reality is that it doesn't matter how much you plan or look for certainty. We are always dealing with uncertainty all of the time. It's there. And certainly my journey has been around getting comfortable with holding an emergent space all the time. All of the time. So listen to your story then, Kerry. Having made that transition, right? Having got there. Now, I know the shit that is on the other side as well.
Oh,
Because I don't want to,
that's the crazy thing, isn't it? It's just like of that balance of like, this is my dream, this is my dream, this is my dream. And and I remember Rick used to say, he said, even if you show somebody their dream, they'll do everything to run away from it. Of like, I can't have that, I can't have that, I can't have that. And then you and then when you're doing it, like, look at me, I live by the beach, I've got 2 kids, 2 cats, and I have a phenomenal life in terms of like, I can just go like walk and get to the beach. But at that point, fuck, I've really got like there's no plan B now.
Yeah, that's
You know
up
what
to
I
you,
mean?
isn't
There's
it?
always that before. There's like, oh, if only I could live by the beach. If only I could coach doing what I love all day. If only I do all those things. Now all of those other considerations that you have,
Yeah.
they're then like on your lap, just to say, right,
Yeah.
now be happy. And if you're not
Nobody's
happy,
putting money in your bank every month.
no.
There isn't an HR department just supporting you. There isn't a
Or
load of
IT.
people lining up at your door saying, I'll buy from you all of the time.
Oh yeah, I've got a brand new website. I'm going to put it live. It's live.
Mm-hmm. It's
Oh,
really
I've
tough,
got to do
isn't it?
something else.
So see, because I know that you work with people to help them to overcome overwhelm,
Yeah.
overcome fear, limiting beliefs, procrastination, comparing yourself to others,
Mm,
self-doubt, all of these things. But
yeah.
certainly for me, people sometimes will say to me, "But you're sorted," and that's when I just laugh. And the journey that I've been on is like, yeah, I have been able to overcome and learn strategies to overcome a lot of these things. But
Yeah.
at every stage of growth, those
Mm,
things rear their head, and I have to think of
mm,
a new way
yeah.
to actually get on top of that again. So
Mhm.
what are some of the strategies that you have found work for you when it comes to beating back those things that get you stuck, even as you grow in your business life? Because the
Mm.
stuckness doesn't go away, it just changes.
No, it just changes flavour. Well, for me, the thing that is to, no matter how I feel, I can do something. Like my reminder is that I can do difficult things. Like even though this feels really uncomfortable and really tough, I can do something. So I will always
So that sounds
create.
like a big mindset shift for you.
Yeah, it has to be. It's all because everything comes from inside. It's always an
Mhm,
inside out phenomenon. So
mhm.
it's a matter of, I don't know, cooking dinner, doing something that gives me a win. Something that I can
Taking
go, well,
action.
if I can't create a course that's going to do whatever it's going to do, I can be a good mum, or
Yeah,
I can bath my dogs, or I
yeah,
can go on my supboard, or I can be, there are so
yeah,
many other things. And at that point, then maybe it's that you just need to take yourself away from the emotionality of the whole thing.
yeah.
Um, because otherwise you're just gonna, so it's the biggest pity party of all. So the
Yeah.
quicker you can find something to attach your mind that makes it make something work, then
Yeah.
you can give yourself space enough to be able to say, right, okay, I can do
Yeah.
something. And
The
it's
word
about
that's
looking at
jumping
that.
out at me as you speak is gratitude,
Yeah,
because that
totally.
just feels like about being
Yeah.
tapping into the things that you can be grateful for in your life, the ability to
Oh,
cook, the fact that you've got a family to cook for that like eating
yeah.
it.
I go shopping. What I did
Yeah.
the other day is just like I like a like I was doing a launch and it didn't work out. There's some we must say hello to people. And it didn't work out, and I'm just like, right, okay, what do you need to do? So I went to the shop. I went to the shop and filled my fridge because I know if my fridge is full of all the things that I can feed my children, and I
Yeah.
can feed myself healthy, nutritious food, then I'm doing a good job,
Yeah.
right? So that was a win.
Yeah.
Then it was organizing a sup, like, okay, I need to organize to get on my sup, so I organized something like that. So it was all,
Yeah.
they're all, it's more of a when you're feeling unbalanced in one area, it's like top up everything else so you can refloat your boat. So it would
Okay.
that's for me, there's always something, like I crochet,
Yeah.
and I do other things, so
So it's
it's
anchoring into some other things that are positive, and you've been learning how to do that. Who
yeah,
would you
and like you
say
say,
then?
grateful.
So we've got gratitude in there and being able to tap into gratitude. I see we've got Megan who's joined us
Hello,
this
lovely
evening.
Megan.
Hey, Megan. And I
Hey,
think she said,
Marie.
oh,
Hello.
that's a big one. Trusting yourself, the investment is going to be successful. And
Yeah,
I know that it was the people that I started hanging about with. I started hanging about with different people. And
yeah,
that certainly taught me that whole thing about the investment part, and that I started to value myself way more, which actually made me a more powerful coach, because until you value self, you can't show up to value others in the most powerful way you can. And
yeah,
I don't know about you working in the NHS. I would always say I came into this job because I like helping people. I was there to help people. And
mm,
actually, if I had been able to value myself more powerfully when I worked there, I would have had the power to help people even more than I did in the 20 years that I was there.
yeah. It's a
Do you know?
same as this of like how much you love yourself is how much you can share it. Otherwise, the less that you love, the more shit you share.
Absolutely. Well, you can only
You
help
can't,
people, isn't it?
you can't,
Yeah.
and that's why when clients come to me, it's just like they say they eat the frog, and I'm just like, I'm kind of an advocate, but really, if you need to go and get on your horse for you to feel amazing and abundant and like ready to rock the world, then go and get on the horse first, and
Yeah.
then because everything will shift. Things that were hard, rather than pushing through like I've got to get this done. I'm not in any interest of yes, sometimes you have to get things done, but not to force things through. It's just doesn't do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was thinking about all this morning, the gratitude and the investment. Absolutely, Megan. I think appreciation and gratitude, because like be able to, and the thing about to shift things, even when it's something really uncomfortable, is to be able to appreciate one thing about it, one thing
Yeah.
like that you think that it's oh god, this is awful and everything else, but okay, well, just find one thing, and then when you find one thing you can find another thing, and then actually
Yeah.
the awful part is a tiny part of it, and you put it back into the right perspective. But sometimes when we
Absolutely.
have that emotional response, it just becomes so overwhelming.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know that for myself, because that my business partner is also my husband.
Mm,
So I have to get into bed with my business partner every
yeah.
single night. And that's a
can
whole
go
different
can go the
show, that
right
one.
way.
But what we will do, because that's tough, that brings other pressures. And
Yeah.
if we are really facing some challenges, because business, I have never worked, I don't know about you, I have never worked as hard in my life as I have done when I've come into business. I
No,
have
God, no.
never been as exhausted sometimes and as challenged as I ever worked in a job. Even
Yeah.
though when I think back, there was days I thought I would moan to colleagues about how hard done I was.
Mm.
when you're in business, it's a whole different level. And one of the things that we do is to tap into gratitude and just to say to each other, right, tell me 10 things you are grateful for right now.
Yeah.
And I have literally found myself sitting in the car and like a petulant child with a wobbly lip, wanting to say, damn you, do you know, I don't want to do this. I just want to pity myself.
Yeah. Just
And
give me
having
5
to
minutes for pity
force
party
it.
and come back.
And I go, I am grateful for you. You know, and all the time, but it really knocks you out. So this is coming on to my next question, because my husband Paul is one of the most influential people that's been in the last decade of my life, without any doubt. And do you know, when it goes back to Stephen Covey, and you know, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with,
Yeah,
who have
absolutely.
been the real influencers, and are the people, when you are having those moments, you know, are there? Or is there one in particular that really impacted you on your journey, Kerry?
Oh, yeah, Mick McKenzie, without a doubt. He's passed now, but I find that because, and even now, I would say he's one of my most favourite people on the planet, because
Yeah.
even his teachings I mean, I'm grateful that there are some on YouTube,
So
but
was he a coach, Kerry?
yeah, he wouldn't have said he's a coach. He would have said, I mean, like he developed a thing called self-actualization learning technique, and it's emotional intelligence, curiosity-based learning. And
Yeah.
so I went on like sort of self-actualization weekends with him, which, like I said to you, and I went on about, I don't know, probably 20 or more. I did 4 30-day residentials. They were in
Yeah.
Maui and Switzerland and things like that. So they were nice to do, but they were like a week where you know, everyone's going, oh, isn't this nice? Isn't everyone lovely? Aren't we all just lovely? And then the second week, everyone wants to just kill each other because they just want to spit in your face because you're just awful. And they basically dissect your personality, like pull apart, give you feedback constantly. And then you've got choices once you're conscious of different things. So he was always the person that you could go to for just
Yeah.
uncompromising truth.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a rare thing that you can find, because he, you know, I mean, he wasn't wonderful in all areas of his life. He wasn't a great husband to his wife. Do you know what I mean? They've got 6 kids and everything else, but amazing human. And so he definitely was very pivotal in the change in my life. Absolutely.
It's funny because listening to you there, that you're talking about being unpicked. And that to me is about
Yeah,
doing a lot of the internal work that was
hugely.
actually the stuff that was holding you back. And so often, I don't know about you, but people who come into my coaching room can be describing how they've tried this and they've tried that and they've tried the next thing, but it's all out here. It's all extrinsic
Mm,
actions are taken, when actually the root cause was unpicking it. So what I'm hearing
yeah.
from you is actually going away, you took action that allowed you to do the unpicking
Mm,
and have discoveries that
mm.
then allowed you to step into this life of yours that you have now.
Yeah, hugely. Yeah. And it wasn't, you know, it was probably an intense, I'd say, well, I met Frank in 2005 when I met my boy's dad. Um, and probably it was, yeah, it was 5 years of like full on kind of just
That
intense
is
stuff.
so important. It's so important.
It really is, and even now, you know, you go on and you do different things. Like you know, I do different trainings, and I've done so many more curious things. But not. I mean, like, you know, I've got much busier life. I was a single person, and I could go anywhere and do anything. Like, do you want to come to the Switzerland for the weekend? Yeah, you know, you just get up and go, and that was a very different life. Whereas, but it is, for me as a coach, I think that work is like that's what gives me absolute integrity. Like I don't mind,
Yeah,
anyone could come to me, and I feel, because I've those skills gave me the ability to drop all of my shit at the
yeah,
door and go to work. And I think that
absolutely.
you can't, like, and I'd say to people, I can't care I don't care about my clients. I care about them as humans, but I can't care about what they want to create, because then I have some kind of judgment about it. If I decide before I've gone into that call that I think this person needs this, then I'm going to steer them that way. and you can't afford to do that when you're talking about somebody's
Yeah.
life. You know what I mean? You like, it's, to me,
Yeah.
it's an absolute precious gift to be able to hold a space for somebody, and I
Truly is, isn't
absolutely
it?
protect it with everything, because the thought that somebody would say to me that they didn't have they didn't feel that they were in a space when they
Yeah.
were working with me would just, that would be it. I'd just be like, right, I'm done,
Mhm.
because I couldn't, that's the line in the sand for me,
Yeah.
very much so.
It kind of reminds me of, because what you were talking about there, about it being a 5-year journey of
Yeah,
self-discovery and unpicking to help you to take that step forward. And
yeah,
very often as humans, especially in this world nowadays, it's all very disposable and instant. And
yeah,
people want to have huge steps of results in short times on
yeah,
massive life-changing things.
yeah,
And
yeah,
actually, if it's a bit like this, was it Van Gogh that was the story of doing a little sketch on the back of a napkin, and somebody said to him, "Can I have that?" And he says, "Sure, it'll cost you 20,000
yeah,
francs or whatever it was." And they said, "But you just did it in 2 minutes on the back of a napkin." And
yeah,
he went, "No, that took me 20 years
yeah, to be able to do that.
to
Yeah,
be able to
yeah,
do that."
yeah,
And it's that investment in
yeah,
self that is
yeah,
the powerful stuff, and certainly
yeah,
sounds like it's a really lovely thing to hear, and for people to give a takeaway that if they're feeling that they've tried something that hasn't worked, get
yeah,
back on the pony,
yeah.
because this is a big journey,
It
and the
is a
more
big journey.
support you have to
Oh
do it.
my, yeah, and yeah, like you say, I mean, because you sit, I mean, it's hard because people can get changes, small changes that will make, a change in their life, but by somebody that hasn't done a lot of work. I'm not interested in that. That's not the kind
Yeah,
of, that's not the sort of work that I want to do. I want,
yeah,
I want to I want deep transformation. I want a deep conversation. I don't do chi chat chat. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Or it's deep chi chat chat. It's like, what's going on, and then I'll laugh with somebody. And I love using sense of humor in my work, because for me, we can take it very, very seriously. Because it is deep work, and it is all of those things, and it is intense, and but you can laugh.
yeah,
We can
definitely.
laugh at how fucking serious we take it. It's just like, "Oh my god, that's a massive pile of shit you've created. Well done." And then you can see their faces almost like, "Oh, oh my god." Yeah.
So,
'Cause
Kerry, with that then, if it's thinking about the fun and the laughter in life, because let's face
mm,
it, all of this work that we do and all of that, all the ways that we support other people to push through to
mm,
have their best lives is all about fun, about laughter, about
mm,
happiness, about
yeah.
enjoyment, about joy, about bliss. So,
Mm.
what does the future hold for Kerry Hales? What is going to be in the next year or two for Kerry Hales that brings that laughter, fun, enjoyment, happiness, joy to another level?
Gosh, that's a good question. I fall in love with supboarding.
Yeah,
So I'm enjoying doing that, and I think this year has been hugely eye opening. We've both been in like in a mastermind, and the intensity of birthing a book, um,
yeah,
which I was really not prepared for. um, but so next year is about kind of just going back to enjoying things more. Like, because I think I don't really have had much time to even put my head up and breathe this year,
yeah, yeah.
because
And
things have
we've
just.
barely touched on, we haven't even touched, and I've put your little name up there at one point saying you're the author of a best selling book. But I
Mm,
got to share that experience with you not that long ago
yeah,
this year.
I know. I was
When
just
you
looking through
did
photos earlier and thinking, my word, if gosh,
life
that was
lessons
before.
from your knicker drawer. And before we
Yeah.
go any further, I'm just going to give you a punt because it's available on Amazon. It's also available. No, it's on, you can get it in the high street, can't you?
You can't get it in the high street. You can get it by Waterstones though.
Waterstones,
Yeah.
check you, honey,
Check
check
me
you.
out.
But it's always amazing when I hear people describing my book adventure is next year. It's not this year,
Yeah.
but you have done it. And there is
Yeah.
a book in every single one of us
Oh
because
my word.
your story is
I love
unique.
the fact that, because so if anybody, I have the ultimate, I think now, if anybody says, oh, it's going to write a book, oh, I've done something else, and I was like, I wrote a book about knickers.
You
Like,
did write a book all
it's,
about
I mean,
knickers.
it's funny to be able to say that because it is, but it is about knickers, but it isn't about knickers. It is,
Yeah.
I mean, it is, life lessons from your knicker drawer. Um, but it's not, in a short, uh, and a way to describe it is, what happened to me was that obviously I'd done all the work and everything else, and I had a coach, and I was thinking, I wasn't feeling great about my body. She said, how do you want to feel? And I said, I want to feel sexy, lean and strong. So she said, right, okay, no, and then we started doing some work on that. And one of the things was that I was going to go upstairs, and I looked at myself and I thought, I'm going to start here. I'm going to look at myself in the mirror. So I took off my clothes and I stood there in my mum's knickers, who had passed at that time, and she was 70. And because her skin was itchy throughout the cancer that she had, she'd buy things and then she couldn't wear them.
Yeah.
So I'd go to my mum's house, and she was giving me stuff because she knew that she wasn't going to be long for the planet. But and I was never going to say no. I just say, yes, Mum, I'll take it home. Yes, Mum, I'll take it home.
So you ended up wearing her knickers.
So yeah, well, you think as you take them home, don't you? And then for some reason
Mm-hmm.
they end up being in your drawer, and then they end up on your ass. And so then I was just standing there in my mum's knickers, and also then I was emotionally attached to the fact that they were my mum's.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a bra on that 2 out of 3 classes had broken, and I just stood there thinking there was a disconnect between how I wanted to feel, and what was facing me in the mirror.
Yeah.
Now, actually, when I look back on that picture, I think you weren't too bad. But anyway, we'll move on.
That's a whole other episode,
It's a
isn't
whole
it?
other episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for that point, I thought, right, how do I? Like I said to you, that I like solutions. It's like, right, so what's the next step? So I went to my knicker drawer and I looked in it, and I thought, right, so I'll clear it out. I'm very much into
Oh, how many times
zenning.
have we been there, eh? How many times?
Yeah. So I'll just zen it. So I took it
Yeah.
out, and in front of me was a game. Was very similar to what I do when I talk to people. There's always an analogy that you use to have that connection, to find that common way of how they talk. Or I'm very much quite intuitive about language and how to use language to help and poke and prod and gather momentum in a coaching environment. But what happened was, because this was a universal language. This was something that wasn't just that I could say to any woman, because after that had happened to me, and I looked and I saw the stories of who all the shoulds, coulds wanted, all the knickers that you put in to make yourself feel better or to make yourself look better for somebody else. Those knickers that you feel like when you're shitty, shabby day, and so
The
many
ones
different.
you bought that you're now too fat to put on, but they still
But you
haunt you
think,
when you
I'll
look at
keep
them.
those to beat over
Till
my
I'm
head with
slimming.
until I'm wonderful again.
Yeah.
All of those things. And so there's so many stories in there. So, and I came down and I spoke to Frank and I said, this has just happened. And he went, oh my God. He said, I can see you sat on Good Morning Britain with a book in your hand. And I was like, what are you talking about, you stupid human?
So we've got the book. We just need good morning.
Yeah. That's the thing.
That's amazing,
So that
Kerry.
was 6 years ago, and then it's been in so many different versions, and every person I spoke to, I kept trying to think somebody was going to go, that's a fucking shitty idea, get back in your box, but no one did.
Mm-hmm. And now
In
you've
fact,
got a book.
everyone did. Yeah, and
Let's
now
see it again. Hold it up again for everybody. What a beautiful cover that is. So it's Life Lessons from Your Knicker Drawer, and you can get it from Amazon or Waterstones online. And so where else if anybody's wanting to connect with you, Kerry, where else can they find you?
best place is on just kerryhales.com, and everything's on there. Everything if you want to find me.
kerryhales.com.
Can't wait to read it. Megan, you
Magnificent.
have to read it.
Megan, it's a must.
It's
I've read all about her
I
knickers.
What I love about it is it's the same with anything. Like same with the, you know, for you, if you're a coach and you are a true coach through to your bones, it's the transformation. So when people come and say this is what happened, you know, or they post, or they send you a picture of what they've done, or before and after, and then how that's impacted them. Because it's not just about having a tied a pair of knickers. I mean, yes, that is the start of it, but a lot of it is about getting that connection with yourself of like in the present time, because so much of us just aren't using all of the um, you know, all of the love that we've got available to you in this moment. We don't.
So if people are wanting to connect with that love,
Yeah.
connect with that unique human being inside them, they can find you at kerryhales.com.
They can.
And you can always look for some knickers and go and get yourself new ones, pet, if you fancy them. So, Kerry Hales, it is a pleasure to have had the opportunity to share 45 minutes of space, because it's such a gift to our use of time, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's been a pleasure to spend 45 minutes of the time this universe has given me with you this evening,
Thank you, Ashley.
as it always
The
is.
joy. It's always a
It's a
joy.
joy.
I'm
It
like,
always
are we
is.
done? How come we be done? You and I normally
Unfortunately
could
not.
talk for hours.
It is, and these conversations do go on for
No,
hours, I
they
can
can.
tell you sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's been a pleasure, Kerry. So thank you for sharing so openly with everyone this evening. Thank you, everyone who has joined in this evening. Tina, Megan, I'm going to miss people out. Carol's been in here as well, so she's saying how she's loved that. It's lovely to see everyone. I think Lisa was in here too.
Right.
So thank you, everyone, for joining us. I cannot wait to see the next book that comes out of you, Kerry Hales, because I've got a feeling that there will be yet another one. And again, everyone, we will be back here for the Fierce and Fabulous Society Talk Show every Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. And look out for our guests next week. I cannot wait to announce who they are. So whatever you're doing this evening, make it focused, make it determined, and above all, make it sure that it's joyful. And we'll see you back here next week. Thank you again, Kerry, and take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.